Okay, welcome back. You ready for your math lesson today? We are on lesson 5. And I want you to take a look of the items that I have shown right here. And I want you to tell somebody you're sitting with what you notice about them. Use some math words if you can. There's, this is a candle. Here's a fun treat box that Mrs. Boffman found in her house. And Mr. Boffman shared this is a golf ball inside a box. So, what can you tell me about these items? Did you say that they were three-dimensional? If you did, good for you. If you said that, and this one's a little tricky. These two definitely, oops, sorry. This one really doesn't, I like this one because it has 4 straight sides, and the sides right here are all the same length. And this front space right here is called a face. And this is a 3-dimensional box. I'm going to set this one aside and you'll see why. The reason I really like this one is because it has sides that are the same length. It has a face here. But if you turn it, this has the same size as this. And this has the same size. And if I turn it all the way around, they're the same size. Do you know what we call this 3-dimensional figure, boys and girls? Did you happen to share the word cube? If you did, nice job. Now, ordinarily, Mrs. Boffman would have some 3-dimensional shapes that I have at school, but I don't have them here at home. So I kind of hunted around my house and found some 3-dimensional shapes. And specifically today, I looked for a cube. But I'm noticing, I'm going to set these aside for a second, but I'm noticing even this box of crayons would be a 3-dimensional shape. And I see a rectangular side here. And I see some rectangular sides. So this would also be a 3-dimensional shape. And I think you know what 3D means. But today, specifically, boys and girls, we're going to be working on cubes. And we're going to be talking about edges. And we're going to be talking about corners. And we're going to be talking about faces. Now, if you would like to join me and make some of these items with me, you are welcome to. You are going to need either some toothpicks, and my toothpicks are pretty long. They're actually what's called a skewer for fruit and treats. And Mrs. Boffman didn't have any marshmallows in my house because I was going to use marshmallows. And believe it or not, I don't even have any Play-Doh at my house anymore. But Mr. Boffman was working on her bathroom, and I found this stuff that's called plumber's putty. And it is very much like Play-Doh or clay. And so Mrs. Boffman's going to be using some plumber's putty and some toothpicks, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make some shapes. If you would like to join me, you are welcome to go gather some tools and we can do this together. Or when I'm finished, you can gather up some tools and make some also, whichever you like. I'm going to start here today by using my skewers and my plumber's putty, and you're going to watch me do something. There's 1, 2. I'm going to put some putty here. What are you noticing that I am making? Do you see it yet? I bet you do. You guys are so smart. Okay, I'm going to put this here. It gets a little bit tricky because my plumber's putty is kind of gooey, but it's going to help us for today. Okay, so take a look at what did Mrs. Boffman make here. I made a polygon, and this one is a square because it's a quadrilateral actually, and it's a square shape because they're all the same size, And I have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are called edges, okay, or sides. And the plumber's putty is where I have my corners. And that would be where we could even test and see. Do you remember doing this? Testing to see if we have square corners. And if you look, these are all square corners right here. So now watch this. What I'm going to do, and I'm hoping, keep your fingers crossed for me. I know you can do it. I'm going to try to do something here. Do you see what I'm doing? What am I adding? So I'm adding some more sides. Now this is where it's going to get tricky, and you're going to have to keep your fingers crossed and hope that my plumber putty is going to work with me. I know it works with marshmallows. This I've never used before, and I think it's going to get a little wiggly. But I think you'll be able to notice. I need some more hands with me today. Okay, let's see. Can we put... Oh, I don't know, Mrs. Boffman. So if I do this, you know what? I'm going to lay this down for a second. And I'm going to try this. I don't think it's going to work. But this is where I'm running out of hands. Okay, so I'm going to build, I would build that up, and look at, it all crashed. So what happens is we're going to build, and we would make, and I'm going to move all this mess apart. So I am going to say, boys and girls, that I don't think the Play-Doh would work as well. Get rid of those yucky marks too. I'm thinking you might have to have some marshmallows if you do. And basically what I would love for you to do is make a cube. I have run out of hands here, but I can still do a little talking with Mr. Boffman's golf ball here. What we're doing is we know that this would be, each of these spots are corners. And then these are 1, 2, 3, 4 edges here. But I also have then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 edges to my cube, okay? And that's where it's a little tricky. Mrs. Boffman can't show you with my homemade cube. If I go back to the first little mess here, this plumber's putty is just too gooey for us. We would hook it together like this. Almost needed to be dried out a little bit. If you have some lighter, this is a little bit heavy. If you have some lighter clay or some Play-Doh, you might be able to do this easier than Mrs. Boffman. Marshmallows, I know work really well because we've done that. And toothpicks instead of these skewers, because these are a little bit long, help. So this is what we're wanting to do, and then we would put edges here, and I'm not able to do that right now, but it would become a 3-dimensional cube that we could make. And I've also had kids add different pieces to other polygons to this, and it's kind of fun. You can go ahead and do that. And then again, what we're counting are the edges of the polygon, and the faces are the top pieces. So this flat section right here would be called the face. Okay, this is kind of fun, and if you guys, and I know some of you really like to build, so I'm going to suggest that you do this. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for now, and here's the other fun part that we're going to do today. You need to gather a piece of paper and a pencil, because I am going to teach you how, and I bet some of you know how to do it already, but we're gonna start by drawing a cube. So what I want you to do is get a paper and a pencil. Do you have one with me? Okay, so we're gonna start over here, and the first thing you're gonna do is draw a square. It's important that your square has straight lines, so if you need to use your ruler, go ahead and do that. Then what I'm gonna do is out a little bit here. I'm gonna draw a line back here. And then I'm gonna draw it down here, just like that. This is kind of like a directed art activity today. So now I'm gonna hook some pieces, and I'm gonna hook this to here, and I'm gonna hook this to here, and I'm gonna hook this to here. And what have we made? We have made a cube. Okay. I see a square here, and I see two parallelograms here in my cube that I have drawn. Do you see those? Go ahead and try it for you. I'm going to try another one here, and you can do it with me if you want. Start with a square. They don't have to be real big. And I'm going to make this part. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect the pieces. And I have made a cube. Now I can also, let's see if I can do it. Okay, so make your square. And we can do it this direction also. So we're going to do this to this to this, and that to that. See, you can do it either direction. Why don't you practice making it in either direction? Start with a square. You can either do it this side or that side. And we go like this, and this. Did you do it? It's cool, isn't it? So I'm looking at the square, and then these would be two parallelograms on the outsides of each one that I drew. I want you to practice making some of those, and that's what you're going to be doing today. You're also going to have to be able to tell me how many faces there are, and how many edges, and how many corners. And that is where you might really like to make this three-dimensional square, because it's easier to find the edges, the faces, and the corners. Your corners are going to be your clay or marshmallows or whatever you're using. And so I would have these 4 down here. Ideally, I would put 4 more over here. So how many corners would be in this shape? If you said 8, you are correct. Okay? And then how many faces would you count? There would be 1 at the bottom, 1 at the top. So that's 2. And then each way around the cube would be 4 more. How many faces do we have on that cube? Did you say 6? Good job. Okay, so if you are able to make this structure like I have, and I'm noticing my plumber's putty seems like it's getting a little drier, which would be good. You might want to practice with, you might want to get out your Play-Doh and even make it a little dry. Don't use gigantic pieces of Play-Doh because it's not going to be sturdy enough to hold everything up. Okay, so you have learned how to make a 3-dimensional cube, and we made it 3-dimensional. And we also today have learned how to draw a 3-dimensional cube. And you are going to be doing this for your problem set as well. So I hope you enjoy it. Nice job with your math lesson today. And I will see you again. I will see you again next week for math. Have a great rest of your day of learning. Miss you guys.